The Celestial Alliance's Great Hall, filled with the voices of a dozen different species, blue-skinned volunteer diplomats hovered near crystal refreshment tables. Huge Krell warriors stood guard, their scales shining in the artificial sun that illuminated the space station. Energy beings from the Mox Collective pulsed with light as they communicated in rapid bursts. Among them walked Jack Bailey, his simple black human uniform making him stand out like a shadow among the stars. At 6 feet tall, with broad shoulders and short brown hair, he was neither the tallest nor the strongest being in the room, but other species watched him with curious eyes. Jack nodded politely as he passed an 8-foot-tall Krell general. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community, joining the Celestial Alliance only 3 years ago. Most Alliance members still considered them primitive shortly after their first interstellar flights. Commander Bailey called out a melodic voice. Jack turned to see Ambassador Leva. Her insect-like features arranged in what he learned was a willing smile. "I hope you are finding the dome enjoyable." "It's quite a meeting," Jack replied, accepting a drink from a floating tray, although I noticed that most discussions stop as I approach. Leva's antennae twitched. "You must understand that your species is unusual. Many find humans unpredictable." Jack smiled. "Is that a polite way of saying dangerous?" "Interesting would be my favorite word," she said. "Come, there is something I want to show you." She led him through sliding doors to a quieter part of the station. They entered a dark room where a single object sat on a pedestal in the center, bathed in a soft light. Jack approached, curious. It appeared to be armor, unlike anything he had ever seen before. Its surface changed color like oil on water, with lines of light pulsing across its surface. It was roughly humanoid in shape, although its proportions seemed strange, waist too narrow and arms a little too long. "This is the Aegis armor," Leva said, discovered 500 years ago on a dead world at the edge of known space. Jack circled the screen. "It's beautiful, some kind of ceremonial clothing." The vault made a click that Jack recognized as laughter. If only it were that simple. This armor is perhaps the greatest mystery in our collective history. Our scientists believe it contains technology far beyond our understanding. "What is it made of?" Jack asked, noticing how the surface seemed to ripple slightly, as if it were breathing. "Unknown materials. It resists all attempts at analysis, but that's not what makes it legendary." She pointed to a small control panel, and a holographic screen appeared, showing images of various alien species approaching the armor. Jack watched as a massive Krell warrior tried to don the armor. The moment it touched its scales, the energy soared and the Krell was thrown back. The scene was repeated with different species. Some were simply repelled. Others seemed to feel pain when touched. The armor rejected all attempts to use it from all known species. Leva explained, "The greatest minds in the Alliance have studied it for centuries. Some believe it is merely decorative, with defensive measures to prevent theft. Others think it holds power beyond our understanding." Jack felt attracted to the armor. A strange attraction he couldn't explain. Have all species tried? All major Alliance members, yes. After the first 100 failures, it became something of a tradition for new member species to try it once. Its antennae waved toward him. Humans have not yet had their turn, although few expect difficult results. "Errant. Why keep it on display if no one can use it?" Jack asked. "Hope, perhaps," Leva said softly, "or a reminder of how much we still don't understand about the universe." A sharp alarm went through the room. The lights changed to a pulsing red. "What is happening?" Jack asked, instantly alert. Leva's posture stiffened. "Emergency council session. Something is wrong." Her voice fell. "Very wrong." As they ran out of the room, Jack looked back at the armor. For a moment, he could have sworn the pulsing lights followed his movement, tracking him like eyes in the darkness. Jack followed Leva through crowded hallways as aliens of all shapes ran in the same direction. The emergency lights cast everything in a blood-red glow. They entered the Grand Council chamber, where representatives of 30 species sat tearfully around a central platform. The room buzzed with worried voices. "What is happening?" Jack called for nearby human help. "The swarm of voids," she whispered, her face pale. "They destroyed 3 border posts in the last day." Jack had heard rumors about the void swarm, an insect-like race that moved through space like locusts, consuming everything in its path. Until now, they were just stories to scare the new members of the Alliance. The room fell silent as High Commander Zex, leader of the Krell forces, stepped onto the central platform. His reptilian face was grim. "The reports are confirmed," Zex said, his deep voice filling the chamber. "The void swarm broke through our outer defenses. Hilly, the station is down." The New Haven colony was invaded. Screens around the room showed images of the attacks. Jack watched in horror as thousands of black, insect-like ships swarmed around the Alliance cruisers. The huge defense ships, each capable of destroying a moon, fell one after another under the endless wave of smaller attackers. "How many ships do they have?" someone screamed. "Millions," Zex replied simply. "They create new ships as they consume resources. The more they catch, the faster they grow." The room erupted in panicked voices. Jack saw fear in alien faces that always seemed so controlled, so superior. "We've fought them before," a brilliant mockery representative said, his voice translated over the speakers. "Never in those numbers. Our models predict that they will reach the main Alliance worlds within 30 days. Jack felt a shiver. Earth was still considered an outside world, poorly protected by Alliance fleets. If the core worlds were threatened, Earth would be abandoned without a second thought. "I request permission to speak," said a voice Jack didn't recognize. The crowd parted to reveal an ancient believer. Its scales have faded to a light gray with age. "Board member Exerlef," said the president, nodded respectfully. "The board recognizes you." The old Krell moved slowly to the center. "We face extinction. It's time to try again as the years go by." Murmurs filled the room. Jack leaned toward Leva. "Try what again?" "The armor," she whispered. "Exerlef believes it is a weapon. He tried for centuries to activate it. 300 years ago." Exerlef continued. "The swarm came in smaller numbers. Our greatest champions tried to make the most of the times and failed. But now we have new species, new possibilities." His old eyes scanned the room until he found Jack. "Even humans." Laughter ran through the chamber. Jack felt his face heat up. "With respect," the elder said, the commander's ex. "We need real solutions, not myths. Humans are barely space cables. Their ships would burn in seconds against the swarm." Jack took a step forward before he could stop himself. "We may be new to your stars, but humans have fought against impossible odds before." On camera was silent. All eyes on him. "The Alliance has tried the same approaches for centuries." Jack continued. "Maybe what you need is a new perspective. A human perspective." Earth's ambassador, a stern woman named Paula Reed, grabbed Jack's arm. "Commander Bailey, you've crossed the line," she hissed. But Exerlef nodded slowly. "Let the human try on the armor. What harm could this do? We have nothing to lose." "This is highly irregular," said the president. "The test of the times is a ceremonial honor, not a military action." "I'm a volunteer," Jack said firmly. "If there's even a small chance it could help against the swarm, we should try it." Ambassador Reed's grip needed. "Bailey, you don't speak for the Earth on this matter." "If not now, when?" Jack asked, looking around the room. "While we debate, the colonies burn." Exerlef's ancient eyes met Jack's. "Tomorrow, the human. We'll try the ages tomorrow." As the meeting dissolved into arguments, Jack wondered what he had gotten himself into. But one thought kept repeating itself in his mind. The image of the armor's lights following his movements, almost as if it were watching him, waiting. The testing chamber was deep inside the space station, surrounded by thick walls. Jack stood at the entrance, trying to calm his racing heart. Two guards, tall Krell warriors with mottled scales, watched him with dubious eyes. "Are you sure you want to do this, human?" the bigger guard asked. Jack nodded. "I am sure." The massive doors opened, revealing the circular room. In the center stood the centuries-old armor on a raised platform, bathed in a soft blue light. Surrounding the platform were representatives of the Alliance's main species, with solemn faces. Pebzer let him get closer to Jack. "Many have tried. They all failed. Don't be disappointed when you join them." "What encouragement," Jack said with a small smile. He noticed a human woman standing near the armor. She had dark skin, curly black hair, and wore a scientific uniform with lots of pockets. "Commander Bailey," she said, holding out her hand. "I'm Dr. Vela Norton. Genarchaeology. I have been studying ages for 3 years." Jack shook her hand. "Another human here. I thought I was the first to try." "Try, yes. Studying, no?" She lowered her voice. "Don't let them rush you. There is something different about this armor. It's not just a weapon." Before Jack could ask anything else, the ceremony began. One by one, champions of different species approached the armor. A huge Krell warrior performed a battle dance before touching the armor's chest plate. Sparks flew, and he stumbled back with a roar of pain. A glowing mox floated around the armor, sending pulses of energy into it. The armor absorbed the energy, but remained motionless. Six-armed Volteri recited ancient words as he placed all his hands on the armor. Nothing happened. Finally, it was Jack's turn. The room fell silent. "Do humans have a ceremony?" Exerleth asked. Jack thought for a moment. "We shake hands when we meet someone new." This earned some laughter in the room, quickly silenced by Exerleth's piercing gaze. Jack climbed onto the platform. Up close, the armor was even stranger. Its surface rippled like water, with lines of light moving across it in patterns that almost made sense. It was about 2 meters tall, with long arms and a narrow waist. Unlike the others, Jack didn't rush. He slowly walked around the armor, studying something about the way the lights moved caught his attention. "They're not random," he said calmly. "What?" Vela asked, approaching. "The light patterns. They are responding to movement in the room, like eyes following us." Jack slowly moved his hand close to the armor, without touch her. The lights followed his movements. "It is watching us," he said, "or examining us." Jack looked at the featureless front panel of the armor. "Hello," he said simply. "I'm Jack." The room fell silent. Some of the aliens exchanged glances. "I know you can see me," Jack continued. "I think you've been watching for a long time." The armor's lights pulsed once, brighter than before. Jack slowly raised his hand. "I'm going to touch you now, if that's okay." He placed his palm gently against the armor's chest. No sparks flew. No pain reached him. Instead, the armor grew hot under his touch. The lights ran faster, swirling around his hand. "It's happening," Vela whispered, eyes wide. The surface of the armor began to flow like liquid metal, pouring out of Jack's hand. A low hum filled the room, increasing in intensity. "Step back, XR, let's sort it out." "No," Jack said. "It's not rejecting me. It's responding." The lights on the armor became blindingly bright. Jack felt a strange sensation, as if fingers were brushing against his mind. Then everything went wrong. The armor suddenly pulsed with energy. All the lights in the room exploded. The platform creaked beneath Jack's feet. He tried to pull away, but his hand seemed fused to the armor's chest. "Something is wrong," Vela shouted above the noise. Jack felt the mental touch grow stronger, almost desperate. Not angry, not painful, but urgent, like something trying to speak after centuries of silence. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The lights came back on. Jack fell backwards, his connection to the armor broken. The room was chaos. Alarms sounded. The guards rushed in. But Jack wasn't hearing anything, because for a moment he heard a voice in his mind, ancient and powerful. Finally, it said, "You came." The medical wing was silent except for the soft whirring of machines. Jack sat on the edge of the bed as a doctor checked his vitals. His hand still tingled where it had touched the armor. "Your heart rate is elevated, but otherwise you seem fine," the doctor said, closing his scanner. "Whatever happened there didn't physically hurt you." The door opened, and Vela entered. She dismissed the doctor with a nod. "The council is in an uproar," she said, sitting down next to Jack. "No one has ever gotten a response from the armor before." Jack rubbed his hand. "I heard a voice." In my head, Vela leaned forward. "What did that say?" "Finally you came." As if he was waiting for me. Or not me specifically, but a human. Vela finished. She pulled out a small device and showed him a screen full of data. "I've been studying armor for years. Alliance scientists were approaching everything wrong. They kept trying to force him to function, to bend to their will." She flipped through the images. "Look at these scans. The interior of the armor has spaces that almost perfectly match the human anatomy. The neural interface points aligned with human brainwave patterns." Jack looked at the images. "You're saying it was made for humans, but how?" "The armor is hundreds of years old and was discovered long before humans joined the Alliance. In fact, thousands of years old," Vela corrected. "And that's the big question. Either the armor was made by humans long before our recorded history, or it was made by whoever created humans," Jack said calmly. The door opened again. The Zarleth entered, his ancient face unreadable. "The council demands answers," he said. "What happened in that room?" Jack and Vela exchanged looks. "The armor responded to me," Jack said. "He began to communicate." Zarleth's eyes narrowed. "In all our history, times have never communicated with anyone. Why would I talk to a human?" Vela stood up. Elder, I believe that the armature may have been designed for human physiology. My research suggests impossible. Zarleth interrupted her. Armor predates human civilization by millennia. Perhaps our understanding of human history is incomplete, Jack suggested. Zarleth was quiet for a long moment. The Void Swarm has taken on another system as we speak. 3 billion lives lost. Jack felt cold when he heard the number. I want to try again with the armor. The Council considers it too dangerous. More dangerous than losing everything to the swarm. Jack asked. Zarleth's tail swayed slowly. I have lived for 3 centuries, human. I have seen many threats to our alliance. No one like this swarm. If there is even a slight chance, he seems to have made a decision. You will have one more chance, but not alone. Dr. Norton's theory has merit. If the armor was designed for humans, perhaps more humans would be better than one. Vela's eyes widened. A team approach. That's exactly what I was thinking. Zarleth nodded. You have 6 hours to gather your team. Choose wisely. After he left, Jack turned to Vela. Who do we need? Vela accessed personal files on her device. The armor has different systems. Defense, mobility, biological interface, mechanical systems. We need experts for each one. I just know the people. Jack said, taking the device. His scrotum filled through human personnel files at the station. Lieutenant Sandweber, tactical specialist. The best strategic mind I've ever met. He moved to another file. Dr. Cynobiologist. She understands how different species think and communicate. Another blow. Engineer Greg Collins. Man can fix anything with moving parts. One more. And pilot. Kate Monroe. Former racing driver. No one understands movement and space like her. Vela studied the files. Perfect. But will they agree? We are talking about dangerous and untested technology. Jack smiled for the first time since touching the armor. They are human. Curiosity is our defining characteristic. As they left to meet the others, Jack felt something he didn't expect. Have hope. The armor waited for the humans. Now the humans were arriving. Not 1, but 5. And somehow, deep down, he knew it would make all the difference. The trial chamber looked different with 5 humans surrounding the armor. Alliance security has doubled, with guards lining the walls. Several council members watched from behind protective barriers. So just touch it, Sam asked. The tall lieutenant looked skeptical, his hand resting on his gun out of habit. Not exactly, Vela said. She spent the last few hours explaining her theories to the team. The armor doesn't want to be controlled. He wants a partner. Kate walked around the armor, studying it with a pilot's eye for details. It was built for movement. Look at those joints. Greg knelt down and examined the armor's feet. The material is unlike anything I've ever seen. Neither metal nor ceramic. Something totally different. Alice was silent, watching the light patterns. He is aware of us, of all of us. The standards have changed depending on who is focusing. Jack took a deep breath. Okay, let's do this together. No ceremonies, no attempts to force him. We approach as equals, offering partnership. The 5 humans formed a circle around the armor. Jack nodded to each of them. There, they waved back. As one, they each placed a hand on the armor. Unlike before, there was no chaos. Instead, the armor's lights began to pulse in a steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. It's scanning us. Alice whispered, I can feel it. The surface beneath his hands heated. The ripple increased, the metallic substance flowing like water. Jack felt the presence in his mind again. More strong now, not one voice, but many, speaking in harmony. You're asking us something, said Jack. Not exactly with words, more like feelings. Sam's eyes widened. Confidence. It's asking if we trust each other, and if we trust this, Kate added. Greg nodded. If we're willing to work together. Yes, Jack said out loud to the armor. We trust each other. We will work with you, not try to control you. The response was immediate. The armor began to fall apart, pieces floating in the air. The watching aliens gasped and backed away, but the humans stood their ground. The pieces spun faster and then shot towards Jack. They wrapped around his body, flowing like liquid before hardening into a perfect fit. Jack felt a moment of panic as the armor covered his face, then calmed down as he realized he could see better than before. But the armor didn't stop with him. Smaller pieces broke off and went to others. Bracelet-like bands wrapped around her wrists. Thin circles landed on their heads. Inside the armor, Jack saw the display light turn on. Information flowed too quickly to read. He felt the others in his mind. not taking over but joining together, each consciousness distinct but connected. I can feel the defense systems, Sam said, amazed. The biological interface is incredible, Alice added. The mechanical systems, there are thousands of them, Greg whispered. The movement capabilities, Kate laughed. We could dance among the stars with this. And then there was another presence, older than any of them. A consciousness that waited alone for centuries. Sentinel, Jack said, the name coming from the armor itself. His name is Sentinel. The voice finally spoke clearly in all of their minds. Yes, I am Sentinel, guardian of the precursors. I waited for those who understand partnership rather than domination. For those with minds flexible enough to join without getting lost. Humans, Vela said. Yes, your kind have always been the intended wielders. The others couldn't understand. They sought to dominate me, to submit me to their will. The armor around Jack changed, becoming simpler. He raised his hand and watched in amazement as the armor responded instantly, moving with him instead of being moved by him. Phaserlit stepped forward, his ancient eyes wide with wonder. By the first stars he awoke. No, said Jack, his voice slightly altered by the armor. We wake up together. As if to prove his point, the sentry's power flowed through the armor. Jack rose a few inches off the ground, suspended by energy fields. Light gathered around his hands, powerful but controlled. The other humans gasped as information flowed between them through the smaller pieces of armor they wore. They were not just controlling different systems, they were becoming one system, but each remained itself. Impossible, whispered a Mox representative. Tell us, Sentinel, said Phaserlit. Can you help us against the Void Swarm? The answer came through Jack, but everyone knew it was the sentry speaking. We were created to fight things far worse than your swarm. Together we'll show you how. The Alliance Command Center was buzzing with activity as reports came in from the front lines. The Void Swarm has reached Helios Prime, one of the Alliance's largest colonies with over 10 million people. Jack and his team stood aside, still connected by Sentinel. The armor had retracted into a sleeker shape that covered Jack from neck to toe, with glowing lines tracing complex patterns across its surface. The rest wore smaller pieces, bracelets, collars, and thin tiaras that kept them connected to the system. The evacuation is only 30% complete, a Krell official reported. Ours, the defending fleet, is outnumbered 20-1. Commander Zek turned to Jack. We need time. Can your armor help? Before Jack could respond, Sentinel spoke through the shared mind link. The swarm uses simple but effective tactics in overwhelming numbers. We can disrupt your coordination. Jack nodded. We will. Sentinel believes we can make a difference. An armor against millions of swarm ships, Zek sought. You haven't seen what the sentry can do yet, Sam said with a confident smile. An hour later, the human team boarded a small Alliance transport ship. As the pilot prepared for launch, Jack felt the Sentinel delve deeper into his mind, sharing knowledge. These swarm creatures, Jack told his team, are not just mindless insects. They have a central intelligence that controls them. Kate looked up from her post. How do you know this? Sentinel is showing me. The Forerunners have fought similar enemies before. The swarm has a command node somewhere in the fleet. If we can find it and stop it, the entire swarm could collapse. Greg finished. The ship shook as it entered hyperspace. The trip to Helios Prime would take 3 hours, precious time for the team to learn more about Sentinel's capabilities. Alice closed her eyes, accessing the biological data the Sentinel was sharing. Incredible. Sentinel can adapt to any environment, even space. The armor provides complete life support. Greg was examining a holographic display of the armor systems. The technology. It's different from anything we've built. It uses principles of physics that we haven't even discovered yet. The weapons systems are incredible, Sam added. But they are all defensive in nature, designed to protect, not just destroy. Jack listened to them, feeling the connection between the 5 humans grow stronger. Through Sentinel, they were becoming something new, not losing individuality, but enhancing it by sharing strengths. A flash of light ended their journey as the ship exited hyperspace. Through the viewing window, they saw hell. Helios Prime, once a beautiful blue-green world, was surrounded by a black cloud of swarm ships. The Alliance cruisers fired desperately, their weapons creating brief flashes of light before they were overwhelmed. It's worse than we thought, said the pilot sternly. Jack got up and opened the airlock. The pilot turned around in shock. We are not docked. And we are in the middle of a battle. Trust me, said Jack. The pilot looked at Commander Zex on the comm screen, who nodded reluctantly. As the airlock opened, Jack felt the sentry's armor shift around him. A helmet formed over his head, sealing him with a soft hiss. The others watched as the surface of the armor rippled with power. Maintain mental contact, Jack told his team. I need you all. Then he entered space. Instead of moving away, Jack remained suspended in the void. Fields of energy glowed around him as the Sentinel's systems fully activated. Through the mind link, the others were able to see what Jack saw. Enhanced battle views, data flowing in streams around your vision. The command node, Alice said suddenly. I can feel it through the Sentinel scanners. It's in the center of the swarm. Jack nodded. The sentry's propulsion systems activated, and he charged like a bullet towards the center of the battle. Alliance ships noticed the small, fast-moving object and adjusted their fire to avoid it. The ships in the swarm, however, immediately changed course to intercept. They can sense the sentry, Sam realized. They recognized the technology. The first wave that of swarm fighters reached Jack. He raised his hands instinctively, and the Sentinel responded. Energy shields bloomed around him, deflecting attacks. Weapon systems activated, firing precise bursts that disabled rather than destroyed. They fear us, Jack said as he fought the swarm. No, they fear the Sentinel. Whatever created the armor, the swarm has encountered it before. As Jack delved deeper into the heart of the battle, the mental bond with his team stretched but maintained. Together, they were making progress. But the swarm was gathering, bringing more ships to stop this new threat. Sentries spoke in their shared consciousness. This is just the beginning. We must reach the command node. Jack fought his way through waves of ship swarms. The Sentinel's weapons fire with perfect precision. But for every ship he disabled, 10 more took its place. The mental connection with his team was damaged by the pressure. There are many. Sam wore out of his connection. The odds are impossible. Jack gritted his teeth as a swarm blast hit his shield. We don't need to defeat them all. We just need to get to the command node. Back on the transport ship, Vela paced nervously. It was not part of the direct neural link, but monitored the armor's vital signs and power levels. Greg suddenly sat up straighter in his chair. Wait, the Sentinel keeps referring to us. What if it wasn't designed for just one person? Alice's eyes widened. The neural interface has 5 distinct connection patterns. What if the Sentinel was meant to be used by 5 people together, not just one with 4 helpers? Kate turned to Vela. Is this possible? Could Sentinel expand to cover us all? Vela checked the data flowing across the screen. The armor remodels itself as needed. In theory, yes, but you would have to be physically together, not separated like this. What? No, Jack shouted as he dodged another attack. It's very dangerous here. We were not meant to separate. Alice said firmly. Sentinel was designed for a team, not an individual. Greg was already heading to the decompression chamber. We need to come together physically, not just mentally. Are you crazy? The ship's pilot protested. You will die the moment you enter the space. Kat smiled. No, we won't. Sentinel will protect us. One by one, they entered the decompression chamber. As the outer door opened, exposing them to the vacuum of space, pieces of the sentry's armor flowed from their connection points, expanding to cover their bodies. Completely the bodies. 4 armored figures floated in space, their attire similar to Jack's, but each with subtle differences reflecting their roles. I can feel it, Sam said, amazed. The armor knows what I need. They pushed themselves towards Jack, who was fighting an increasing number of swarm ships. When they reached him, something magical happened. As the 5 humans touched, the sentry's armor flowed between them, creating connections of pure energy. Humans remained individuals, but the sentry brought them together into something greater. And that, Alice whispered. This is what Sentinel was designed to do. The armor expanded around them, growing larger and more complex. It formed a structure around the team, not quite a ship, not quite a mech, but something in between. Each human occupied a different position, controlling systems perfectly adapted to their abilities. Sam controlled defensive shields that blocked incoming attacks. Cake directed his movement, flying with impossible grace. Greg managed the mechanical systems, making instant repairs. Alice interacted with the Sentinel's sensors, tracking the location of the command node, and Jack stood in the center, connecting them all. Junal, said Jack, feeling the sentry's full power for the first time. Now we can fight. The Sentinels' combined form rushed forward like a comet, tearing through the swarm formations. Gunfire bounced harmlessly off their enhanced shields. Energy beams cut through clusters of enemy ships, disabling them without destruction. The command node is changing position. Alice warned. It's trying to hide from us. He knows what we are. Sam said. He's scared. Their shared consciousness allowed them to react as one. Where before Jack had struggled with the sentry's power, but human limitations. Now 5 humans working in perfect harmony brought out the sentry's true potential. There, Kate called out, spotting a huge ship in the center of the swarm. Unlike the insect-like fighters, this was a pulsating orb surrounded by protective layers. And that, Alice confirmed. The command node. The swarm seemed to realize that their target had been discovered. Each ship turned to protect the node, forming a living barrier of thousands of ships. How can we overcome this? Greg asked. Jack felt the sentry's knowledge flowing through him. We don't fight them. We disturb them. The sentry's form changed again, concentrating energy into his core. The 5 humans felt power rising, drawn from their combined consciousness. What is happening? Sam asked. Sentinel is using our connection. Jack explained, understanding flowing from the armor to him. The swarm is powerful because it is many minds working as one. But we are different. We are separate minds choosing to work together. This is something the swarm cannot understand or defend against. Energy pulsed out of the sentry in expanding rings. Where it touched swarm ships, their formation broke. They floated, disoriented. Now Jack screamed. While they were confused, the Sentinel advanced, breaking through the weakened barrier, straight towards the command center.